You have done the math. You know exactly how old you are. You know exactly where you thought you would be by now. And you know the gap between those two numbers better than anyone around you because you think about it constantly. The business you were supposed to have started, the degree you were supposed to have finished, the version of yourself you were supposed to have become by the age you already are. And every time you see someone younger doing the thing you planned, building the thing you imagined, living inside the version of the future you drew for yourself at 17, something happens. Not quite jealousy, not quite regret, something more specific than both. The quiet mathematical certainty that you are behind, that the window is closing, that the people who were supposed to start at the same time as you have lapped you, and that starting now feels less like beginning and more like catching up to a race you were supposed to already be winning. I want to challenge that math, not with motivation, not with a story about someone who started at 50 and became successful, with something more uncomfortable than that. The truth about what starting late actually means and why the calculation you have been running has a fundamental error in it. Here is the error. You have been measuring your starting point against other people's starting point, and that comparison, while it feels logical, is missing one critical variable. What you know now. The person who started at 22 started with energy, with time, with the audacity of someone who has not yet failed at anything significant. But they also started completely blind. They did not know what you know. They had not yet learned what you learned. From the years you spent doing it wrong, from the relationships that did not work, from the career paths that went nowhere, from the version of yourself you built and then had to dismantle because it was not actually you. That education, the real kind, the kind that only comes from living, is not available at 22. It cannot be purchased, cannot be fast-tracked, cannot be learned from a book or a course or a mentor. It only comes from the specific accumulation of experience that you now have, and they did not. Psychologists who study adult development call this post-traumatic growth combined with crystallized intelligence. It is the specific cognitive and emotional advantage that only becomes available after a person has been through enough to know what actually matters. You're not starting late. You are starting with a set of tools that the person who started at 22 is still in the process of building. The race was never even. You just thought it was because you were measuring the wrong thing. So what do you do with this? Not pretend the time did not pass. It did. Not pretend the years of not starting did not cost you anything. They did. But here is what they also gave you. Clarity. The 22-year-old starting the business does not know yet which problems are worth solving, does not know yet which relationships drain and which ones build, does not know yet the difference between ambition that comes from fear and ambition that comes from genuine desire. You know those things, not perfectly, but more than you did. And that knowing is not a consolation prize for starting late. It is a competitive advantage that most people never develop because they never had to. Jim Rohn said, "The same wind blows on us all. The difference in where we arrive is not the wind. It is the set of the sail." And I want to add something he never said. The person who has been through the storm knows how to set the sail better than the person who only ever sailed in calm water. You are not starting late. You are starting informed. You are starting with scar tissue that became armor. You are starting with failures that became education. You are starting with a map drawn from every wrong turn that the person who started early is still making. The only question that matters now is not why you did not start sooner. It is what you are going to build with everything you now know. If this is the kind of honest conversation you have been looking for, I make one of these every week. You know where to find me.